The galaxy was full of powerful species. Some controlled thousands of planets. Some had giant war fleets that could destroy moons. Some had technology so advanced that smaller races treated them like gods. And above all of them stood the Galactic Council, a place where the strongest races in the universe made the rules. Inside the council chamber, hundreds of alien leaders sat in massive floating seats made from crystal and metal. Blue lights covered the walls. Robotic guards stood silently near every entrance. The room itself was larger than a city, and today, the council had gathered for something unusual. A new species wanted to join the Galactic Union, humans. Many council members had never even heard of Earth before. It was just another small planet near the outer edges of explored space. Weak, unknown, unimportant, the large screens in the chamber showed images of Earth. Green forests, huge oceans, busy cities. Primitive aircraft, old warships, nothing impressive. One reptilian senator leaned forward and laughed loudly. These creatures still fight wars using metal bullets. The chamber filled with amusement. Another alien with glowing red eyes smiled coldly. They have no galactic colonies, no advanced fleets, no planetary shields, and they want to stand beside us. More laughter echoed across the chamber. Some species did not even try to hide their disrespect. To them, humanity looked weak, a divided species from a dangerous world. But near the center of the chamber stood one human calmly waiting. Ambassador Elias Carter, the first human ever sent to speak before the Galactic Council. He wore a simple black uniform with the symbol of Earth on his chest. He looked small compared to the giant alien leaders around him. Yet his face showed no fear, no anger, only calm silence. That silence slowly started making some aliens uncomfortable, especially an old historian named Valentor. Valen belonged to one of the oldest species in the galaxy. He had studied ancient wars and forgotten civilizations for over 200 years. At first, he also thought humans were harmless. But something about the human ambassador felt strange. Too calm, too confident. As the laughter continued, Valen secretly activated his personal scanner under the table. The scanner quietly analyzed the human ambassador's biology. A few seconds later, the device suddenly flashed red. Valen's eyes widened. Impossible. He checked the results again. The genetic markers matched an ancient file buried deep inside Forbidden's galactic records. His breathing became slower. Because he had seen that symbol before, not on Earth, but inside ancient war archives thousands of years old. Before he could think further, another senator stood up. A tall, armored alien from the Drakari Empire, the most feared military power in the council. The senator looked directly at the human ambassador. "Tell us, human," he said mockingly. "Why should the galaxy respect your species?" The room became quiet. Every eye turned toward Ambassador Carter. Even the floating cameras moved closer. Many expected the human to become nervous. Some expected anger, others expected begging. But Carter simply smiled softly. Then he spoke. Because humanity survived, the chamber remained silent for a second. Then laughter exploded even louder than before. One senator nearly fell from his seat laughing. "Survived what?" another shouted. "Your own stupidity." More laughter. But Carter did not react. His expression never changed. And that frightened Valen even more, because throughout galactic history, only two types of beings stayed calm under humiliation: the very weak or the truly dangerous. Valen quickly opened a hidden archive through his datapad. Ancient warning symbols appeared across the screen. Access restricted. He ignored the warnings and continued. Dust-covered files slowly opened. Most records were corrupted. Entire pages had been erased intentionally. Someone had tried very hard to remove this information from history. Then Valen found an old military recording. The image quality was terrible. But one symbol was still visible on the damaged armor of ancient soldiers. The same symbol worn by the human ambassador. Earth, Valen's heart started beating faster. The recording showed burning planets, destroyed alien fleets, entire star systems collapsing in war. And standing in the middle of the chaos were human soldiers. Not weak, not primitive, terrifying. One line appeared at the bottom of the ancient file. A warning written by a long-dead galactic commander. Never corner humanity. Valen froze. His hands became cold. Because the date on the recording was impossible. The war happened thousands of years before humans officially discovered space travel. Which meant only one thing. Humanity was far older than the Council believed. Meanwhile, inside the chamber, the mocking continued. The Drakari senator leaned closer to Carter. "If your species is so special," he asked with a grin, "then why has nobody feared humanity before today?" For the first time, Carter's smile disappeared. His eyes became cold, very cold. Then he gave a quiet answer. Because humanity was sleeping, the entire chamber suddenly became silent. And far below the Council City, deep inside hidden underground vaults, ancient machines quietly began waking up. Asterisk, the Council chamber remained silent after the human ambassador spoke those strange words. Humanity was sleeping. No one laughed now. Even the arrogant senators looked confused. Some felt anger. Others felt something far worse. Unease. Ambassador Elias Carter stood calmly in the center of the massive chamber, while hundreds of alien eyes watched him carefully. The human looked completely relaxed, as if he already knew something the entire galaxy did not. The Drakari senator finally broke the silence. "You expect us to fear a species trapped on one planet," he growled. "Your people have no great fleets, no galactic empire, no power." Carter looked directly at him. "Power is not always visible," he answered quietly. The senator's face darkened with irritation, but before he could respond, the council leader suddenly ended the meeting for the day. The chamber slowly emptied as alien delegates whispered nervously among themselves. For the first time in many years, the Galactic Council felt uncertain. And uncertainty was dangerous, far away from the crowd. Historian Valen Tor hurried through a dark hallway carrying his datapad tightly against his chest. His mind was racing. The ancient files he discovered made no sense. According to official galactic history, humanity was a young species, primitive, unimportant. But those hidden records told a completely different story. Valen entered his private research chamber and locked the door behind him. The room was filled with ancient books, holographic records, and forgotten relics from old wars. He activated the hidden archive again. Dust-covered symbols appeared across the screen. Warning, classified information, erasure level Omega. Valen ignored the warnings. He needed answers. The old historian opened another damaged file. This time, a video recording appeared. Static covered the screen for several seconds before the image finally cleared. Valen's eyes widened immediately. Thousands of warships floated in deep space. But these ships were unlike modern fleets. They looked darker, heavier, built for destruction. And every ship carried the same symbol, Earth. Human voices echoed through the recording. "Enemy fleet approaching. Protect civilian transports. Hold the line." Then the battle started. Bright explosions filled space. Entire alien cruisers vanished under massive human attacks. Human ships moved directly into enemy fire without hesitation. Valen watched in shock. No species fought like this anymore. Modern galactic wars depended on shields, drones, and safe distance attacks. But humans fought face to face, aggressively, fearlessly. One damaged human battleship rammed directly into a giant enemy cruiser. Both ships exploded together, yet the human fleet kept advancing. Valen's breathing became slower. These were not peaceful explorers. These were survivors of something terrible. Suddenly the recording changed. A wounded alien commander appeared on the screen. Smoke surrounded him. His uniform was covered in blood. Behind him, entire cities burned under a dark sky. The commander looked terrified. Not angry, terrified. He spoke weakly into the camera. If this message survives, do not provoke the humans again. They do not stop. They do not surrender. And when they lose everything. The commander's voice shook badly. They become worse. The recording ended. Valen leaned back slowly, his hands trembling. Something huge had been hidden from the galaxy. Something powerful, but the biggest question still remained. Why was humanity erased from history? Before he could think further, his chamber door suddenly opened. Valen quickly closed the files. A young alien officer stepped inside. Commander Lyra Vesh, one of the security officers assigned to the council station. She looked serious, Historian Valen, she said. The council requested additional information about humanity. Valen studied her carefully. Why? He asked quietly. Lyra hesitated for a moment. Because several military leaders are becoming nervous. Valen almost laughed bitterly. Nervous was not the correct word. They were beginning to feel fear. Meanwhile, across the station, Ambassador Carter stood alone near a large observation window. Beyond the glass, stars stretched endlessly across space. Beautiful, silent, dangerous. A soft voice spoke behind him. You knew they would laugh. Carter turned calmly. It was Lyra. The young officer approached carefully. Unlike the others, she did not look arrogant. She looked curious. Yes, Carter answered. Most species laugh before they understand. Lyra crossed her arms. Then help me understand, she said. Carter remained silent for several seconds. Then he asked a strange question. Commander, do you know why humans are different from most species? She shook her head slowly. Carter looked back toward the stars. Because humanity was born on a death world, Lyra frowned. Every species knew the meaning of that word. Death worlds were planets too dangerous for intelligent life. Extreme weather, violent oceans, deadly predators, constant disasters. Civilizations rarely survived there, yet Earth somehow created humanity. We learned survival before peace, Carter continued quietly. We learned sacrifice before comfort, and we learned war long before we reached the stars. Lyra felt cold hearing those words. Not because of his tone, but because he spoke so calmly about suffering. Suddenly alarms echoed across the station. Both of them turned immediately. Red emergency lights flashed across the hallway. A robotic voice filled the station. Warning! Authorized access detected deep inside the council archives. Ancient sealed files were opening by themselves. And hidden beneath layers of forgotten security codes. One classified message appeared on every screen. The message contained only 6 words. Humanity has returned to the galaxy. Asterisk red warning lights flashed across the Galactic Council station. Alarms echoed through every hallway. Military guards rushed toward the central archive chambers, while confused senators demanded answers. No one understood how the sealed files had opened by themselves. Those records were ancient, protected for thousands of years. Yet now the classified message appeared on every screen across the station. Humanity has returned to the galaxy. Fear slowly spread through the council. Not open fear, not yet, but enough to make powerful leaders nervous. Inside the security command room, Commander Lyra Vesh watched officers trying to shut down the system. Nothing worked every time they deleted the message. It appeared again seconds later. One technician looked pale. It's coming from inside the oldest archive network, he whispered. That system hasn't been active for centuries. Lyra turned toward the human ambassador standing quietly near the back of the room. Elias Carter showed no surprise at all, almost as if he expected this to happen. You know something, Lyra said carefully. Carter looked at the flashing screen for several seconds before answering. The past always wakes up eventually. Before Lyra could question him further, another alarm suddenly interrupted the station. This time it was not from the archives. It was from deep space, an emergency signal. A civilian transport ship near the outer trade routes was under attack. The main screen changed immediately. A damaged cargo vessel appeared surrounded by pirate warships. The pirates belonged to the Krath Raiders, one of the most violent criminal groups in nearby systems. They attacked weak colonies and unprotected ships, usually without survivors. The council officers watched the battlefield calmly at first. Pirate attacks were common, tragic, but common. Then one officer noticed something unusual. The cargo ship was human. Several senators laughed again after hearing that. "Perfect," one muttered. "Now we will see how brave humanity truly is." The pirate leader appeared on the screen moments later. A massive alien covered in battle scars. Behind him stood armed raiders carrying plasma weapons. "You are surrounded," the pirate growled. "Power down your engines and prepare for boarding." The human cargo captain answered immediately. "No," the pirate blinked in confusion. "No?" He repeated angrily. The human captain's voice remained calm. "We will not surrender." Several council members rolled their eyes. To them, the outcome was obvious. The human ship was old, small, poorly armed. Against 3 pirate warships, it had no chance. Inside the cargo ship, panic spread among the civilian crew. Some workers cried, others prayed quietly. The engines were damaged, escape was impossible. But Captain Marcus Hawley stood firmly on the bridge. A middle-aged human with tired eyes and old military scars across his face. He looked at his frightened crew carefully. Then he spoke calmly. "We hold the line." One young crew member stared at him in disbelief. "Captain." "We can't win." Hawley nodded slowly. "I know. Then why fight?" The captain looked toward the approaching pirate ships. "Because they expect us not to." A few seconds later, the pirates opened fire. Explosions shook the cargo vessel violently. Warning sirens screamed across every deck. Smoke filled the hallways. The council station watched the battle live. Most senators expected surrender within minutes, but something strange happened. The human ship fired back, not randomly, not desperately, precisely. The old cargo vessel moved sharply through space, avoiding direct attacks with surprising skill. Then hidden weapon ports suddenly opened along its sides. Small missile batteries launched directly toward the pirate engines. One pirate ship exploded instantly. The council chamber became silent. "That's impossible," one senator whispered. Civilian cargo ships were never supposed to fight like that. But humans had modified their vessels secretly. Inside the pirate command ship, chaos erupted. "How are they resisting?" the pirate leader roared. Before anyone answered, another explosion hit their fleet. The human ship ran directly into close-range combat. Ignoring damage, ignoring risk, like a predator refusing to die. Back inside the human vessel, alarms screamed everywhere. Fire spread through several compartments. Crew members carried injured workers through smoke-filled corridors. Captain Hawley grabbed a rifle from the emergency locker. His first officer looked shocked. "Captain, where are you going?" Hawley checked the weapon calmly. "To stop the boarding party." Minutes later, pirate soldiers blasted through the cargo bay doors. Armed raiders rushed inside expecting terrified civilians. Instead, they found humans waiting with weapons. The fight became brutal immediately. Close range, violent, messy, humans fought like cornered animals. Even injured crew members refused to retreat. One mechanic attacked a pirate twice his size using only a metal tool. Another human kept fighting despite a wounded arm. The pirates slowly realized something horrifying. These humans were not trying to survive. They were trying to win. Back on the council station, complete silence filled the command room. No one laughed anymore. Commander Lyra watched the battle carefully. Every human on board seemed ready to die protecting the others. No hesitation, no surrender. Ambassador Carter finally spoke softly. "Now you understand why ancient species feared humanity." Suddenly the pirate command ship exploded on screen. The remaining raiders immediately retreated into hyperspace. The battle was over. Against impossible odds, the humans survived. The damaged cargo ship floated silently through the stars. Burned, broken, but still alive, inside this silent council chamber. Historian Valen looked around slowly at the frightened senators. Then he said the words no one wanted to hear. The ancient warnings were real, but far away from the council station. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, something enormous awakened in darkness. Ancient metal doors slowly opened for the first time in thousands of years. And a cold, artificial voice echoed through the hidden facility. Defense Network Omega. Reactivated. Deep under Earth's dark oceans, ancient machines slowly came alive. Massive metal doors opened with heavy sounds. Blue lights appeared inside forgotten tunnels. Dust moved through cold air that had not changed for thousands of years. Huge walls covered with strange symbols stretched deep into the darkness. Everything looked old, silent, waiting. Then a cold, artificial voice echoed through the underground facility. Defense Network Omega activated, far above the ocean. People on Earth slept peacefully. Cities glowed under the night sky. Children dreamed quietly. Families lived normal lives. And no one knew something ancient had just awakened beneath them. Meanwhile, inside the Galactic Council station, fear slowly spread through powerful halls. The same alien leaders who laughed at humanity now whispered nervously. The video from the human cargo ship had changed everything. One small civilian ship had defeated trained pirates. Not because of superior technology, but because the humans refused to surrender. Inside a private meeting room, military leaders argued loudly. "This proves nothing," one senator shouted. "They only defeated pirates." Another senator crossed his arms angrily. "Pirates who normally destroy military patrols. That ship should have lost." The room became tense. Fear and pride were now fighting each other. Many still wanted to believe humans were weak because the truth felt dangerous. At the end of the room sat General Korvak of the Drakari Empire. Tall, cold, arrogant, his species ruled through strength and fear. And Korvak hated weakness more than anything. He finally stood and looked around the room. "This discussion is embarrassing," he said coldly. "The humans are small. They are divided. They have no great empire. One lucky battle changes nothing." Some leaders nodded nervously. Korvak stepped closer to the center table. "The galaxy respects power," he continued. "If humanity believes one small victory matters, then perhaps they need reminding of reality." The room became quiet. Everyone understood what he meant. He wanted to test humanity, or worse, humiliate them. Far away in another hallway, Commander Lyra Vesh walked quickly toward Ambassador Carter's room. Something felt wrong. Too many military officers moved through restricted areas. Too many secret meetings were happening. Her instincts warned her that trouble was coming. She stopped outside Carter's quarters and pressed the door panel. The door opened quietly. Carter stood near the window looking at distant stars, calm as always. "You came," he said without turning. Lyra frowned. "You knew I would." Carter gave a small smile. "Humans learn to read fear quickly." She stepped closer. "The Council is planning something," she said quietly. "General Korvak wants to test humanity." Carter stayed silent for several moments. Almost too calm, finally, he nodded once. "Yes, that was expected." Lyra looked frustrated. "How can you stay so calm? The Council may start a war." Carter finally turned toward her. His expression remained peaceful. "Commander," he said quietly, "humanity has survived storms, famine, war, disease, and extinction fears for thousands of years. One more enemy changes little." His words made Lyra uncomfortable. Not because they sounded arrogant, but because they sounded true. Suddenly, emergency lights flashed again. A council officer appeared on screen. "All senior members report immediately. Military emergency." Minutes later, inside the central war chamber, giant screens displayed a nearby human colony station. A small trade outpost near the outer systems. Nothing heavily protected, nothing important. General Korvac stood proudly before the council. "We have reports of instability near human territory," he said smoothly, "to protect nearby systems. Drakari forces will temporarily secure the region." Historian Valen immediately stood. "That is provocation," he warned. Korvac ignored him. "Humanity should welcome protection." Several senators exchanged nervous looks. Everyone understood the truth. This was intimidation. A message: bow down or suffer. The screen changed again. 3 massive Drakari warships moved toward the human outpost. Dark metal ships covered in weapons, powerful enough to erase cities. Inside the human station, workers stared in confusion. Families moved nervously through hallways. Children looked through windows at giant warships blocking the stars. Fear spread quickly. A young station officer contacted Earth immediately. Unknown military presence requesting surrender conditions. Back on the council station, Lyra turned toward Carter for the first time. She expected anger or panic. But Carter only watched quietly. Then he asked one question. "Did Korvac bring only 3 ships?" Lyra blinked. "Yes." Something strange crossed Carter's face. Not fear, not concern, almost disappointment. "That was careless," he said softly, before Lyra could respond. The human station commander appeared on screen. An older woman with tired eyes and steady hands. Drakari forces demanded immediate surrender. Weapons locked onto civilian sectors. The entire council waited nervously for humanity's answer. The station commander listened quietly. Then she smiled slightly. "No," she said calmly. The room exploded with shouting. Korvac laughed loudly. "So humans truly enjoy losing." But the woman continued speaking. "You should leave." Her voice stayed calm, simple, almost kind. "One warning is enough." Korvac's smile disappeared. "You threaten the Drakari Empire." The woman folded her arms. "No," she answered. "I am trying to help you." Inside the council chamber, silence slowly returned, because somewhere deep inside, something about her calm voice felt familiar, too familiar. Like old warnings buried in forgotten history. Then suddenly, every screen across the chamber flickered violently. Unknown signals appeared. Ancient military symbols flashed across space maps. And beneath Earth's oceans, massive hidden engines slowly began to move. A cold voice echoed once more through darkness. "Planetary defense systems preparing for activation." Asterisk. The Galactic Council chamber fell into complete silence. Unknown military signals continued flashing across every screen. Ancient warning symbols spread through the station network like ghosts returning from the past. Even the council computers could not identify them fully. But historian Valen recognized the symbols immediately. His face turned pale, because those symbols belonged to old human war fleets. Fleets that officially never existed. General Korvac slammed his hand onto the command table angrily. "Shut those signals down," he ordered. Council technicians worked desperately, but nothing responded. The ancient systems were taking control faster every second. Then a cold mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. "Earth Defense Grid online. Threat analysis in progress. Foreign warships detected near human civilian territory." Many senators looked terrified now. The voice did not sound modern. It sounded ancient, old, powerful. As if it came from another age entirely. Korvac forced himself to laugh. "Cheap intimidation tricks," he growled. But nobody joined his laughter this time. Meanwhile, near the human colony station, the 3 massive Drakari warships remained in attack position. Their weapons glowed brightly against the darkness of space. Inside the human station, civilians prepared for evacuation. Children hid beside frightened parents. Workers sealed damaged sections. Emergency alarms echoed through every hallway. Yet the human commander still looked calm, very calm, on the station bridge. One young officer whispered nervously, "Commander, Their weapons are locked. The woman nodded once. I know. Should we surrender? The commander looked toward the giant enemy ships outside the station window. Then she answered quietly, No. The officer stared at her in disbelief. How can you be so calm? The commander gave a small, tired smile. Because humanity learned something a long time ago, she said. When monsters come, running only makes them chase faster. Before anyone could speak again, the station sensors suddenly exploded with alerts. New ships were entering the system, fast, very fast. The Drukhari officers detected them seconds later, unknown vessels emerging from hyperspace. Korvac's commanders quickly checked the scans. Then confusion spread across the enemy bridge. The incoming fleet was small, only 5 ships. And according to the scanners, they were old, very old, no advanced energy shields. No modern weapon signatures, almost primitive. Drukhari officers began laughing nervously. One commander smirked. Humans sent museum ships to stop us, but the laughter faded quickly, because the approaching ships moved with terrifying precision. Dark gray hulls cut silently through space. Heavy armor covered their bodies like ancient beasts. And painted across every ship was the same symbol, Earth. Back on the Council station, Historian Valen felt cold sweat running down his neck. He recognized the ship design from ancient war archives. Human Vanguard-class destroyers, warships erased from history thousands of years ago. That's impossible, he whispered. They should all be gone. Commander Lyra looked toward Ambassador Carter. You knew about this fleet, she said quietly. Carter stayed silent, which was answer enough. Near the colony station, the 5 human ships finally stopped between the civilians and the Drukhari fleet. A transmission opened immediately. An old human admiral appeared on screen. Gray hair, scarred face, calm eyes. This is Admiral Reyes of the Sol Defense Fleet, he said. You are threatening protected human civilians. Withdraw now. The Drukhari commanders burst into laughter again. 3 modern warships against 5 ancient destroyers. The battle should have ended instantly. General Korvac stepped forward proudly. You dare challenge the Drukhari Empire with scrap metal, he mocked. Admiral Reyes looked completely relaxed. Then he answered softly, General, your mistake is thinking humans build ships for comfort. Korvac's smile slowly disappeared, and then the battle began. The Drukhari fleet fired first. Massive plasma cannons exploded through space toward the human ships. But seconds before impact, the old destroyers moved sharply apart with impossible speed. The attacks missed completely before the Drukhari could react. The human ships accelerated directly toward them. Not away, toward them, like predators charging prey. What are they doing? One Drukhari officer shouted. Then the human ships opened fire. Heavy kinetic weapons roared through space. Not energy weapons, solid metal rounds, ancient technology. But terrifyingly powerful. The first Drukhari cruiser lost half its engine section instantly. Explosions ripped across its hull. The second ship tried activating shields, but the human rounds smashed through them violently. Shock filled every bridge. Modern galactic warfare depended on energy systems. Nobody used physical weapons anymore, except humans. Because humans built weapons for one purpose only: destruction. Inside the council chamber, senators watched the battle in horror. The 5 old human destroyers moved like wolves hunting larger animals, fast, precise, fearless. One damaged human ship ran directly into a Drukhari cruiser at full speed. The explosion lit the entire battlefield. Gasps echoed through the council, even after thousands of years. Humans still fought the same way, aggressively, relentlessly. Like survival itself was a weapon. General Korvac's confidence finally cracked. This is impossible, he whispered. But the worst moment came seconds later. Because the surviving Drukhari ships suddenly began retreating. The mighty empire that ruled through fear. was running inside the human station. Civilians cheered loudly, parents cried with relief. Workers hugged each other, and the station commander simply watched silently, as if she expected this outcome all along. Back on the council station, nobody spoke, nobody moved. Then Ambassador Carter finally broke the silence. "Now," he said quietly, "you understand why humanity was never forgotten, but deep inside hidden regions of space, far beyond the borders of known systems, ancient human war beacons suddenly activated one after another. Sleeping fleets were waking up, and someone else had noticed humanity's return. The galaxy changed after the battle near the human colony. News spread faster than light. 5 ancient human ships had forced the mighty Drakari fleet to retreat. At first, many worlds refused to believe it. Some called the reports fake, others claimed the videos were edited. But the truth continued spreading across every system. Humanity was not weak, and suddenly, the laughter stopped. Inside the Galactic Council station, fear now filled the same halls where humans were once mocked. Senators argued day and night, military leaders demanded emergency meetings. Trade systems near Earth began closing their borders. Some species even started moving fleets away from human territory. Not for attack, for safety. Meanwhile, Ambassador Elias Carter walked calmly through the station like nothing had changed. That calmness disturbed everyone even more. Commander Lyra Vesh followed him through one of the quiet observation halls. "You knew this would happen," she said softly. Carter stopped near the giant window overlooking space. "Yes," he answered. Lyra looked frustrated. "Then tell me the truth," she demanded. "What is humanity really hiding?" For several seconds, Carter remained silent, the stars reflected in his eyes. Then he spoke quietly. "A long time ago." "Humanity was not alone," Lyra frowned. "What does that mean?" Carter turned toward her slowly. "Thousands of years before the modern Galactic Council existed. The galaxy was dying, empires fought endless wars. Entire worlds burned. No one trusted each other." He paused briefly. "Humanity helped stop the collapse." Lyra stared at him in shock. "That's impossible. Humans only recently entered space." Carter gave a small, sad smile. "That is the lie your history teaches. Far away, deep inside restricted council archives." Historian Valen continued searching ancient records. Most files remained corrupted, but piece by piece, the hidden truth started appearing. Old battle reports, lost star maps, deleted military agreements. And one name repeated constantly: the Terran Protectorate. Valen's hands trembled slightly. Humanity once had a galactic empire. Not built through conquest, but protection. Ancient records described humans defending weaker species during massive interstellar wars. Human fleets protected refugee worlds. Human soldiers fought impossible battles to stop genocides. Again and again, the same sentence appeared inside old military reports. Terran forces arrived, and after those words, survival usually followed, but then the record suddenly changed. The alliance between species collapsed, fear replaced trust. Some alien leaders became terrified of growing human power. Not because humans ruled cruelly, but because humans refused to obey anyone. Then Valen discovered the final classified file. His breathing slowed immediately. The file was labeled, "The Earth Containment Agreement." He opened it carefully. Ancient council members appeared on screen. Different species, different voices, but united by fear. One old senator spoke clearly. "Humanity cannot be controlled," another answered. "They protect weaker races now, but eventually they will dominate the galaxy." A third voice spoke coldly. "Then Earth must be isolated." Valen felt sick. The modern galaxy was built on betrayal. Ancient leaders had trapped humanity on Earth intentionally. They erased human history, destroyed records, buried fleets, and told future generations humans were primitive newcomers. All because they feared what humanity could become. Suddenly the archive door opened violently. Commander Lyra entered quickly. "You need to see this," she said urgently. Moments later, both Lyra and Valen stood inside a secure council room watching emergency reports. Multiple unknown signals had appeared near the outer systems, huge fleets moving through dark space. Not human, something else, something ancient. Council officers looked terrified. One technician spoke nervously. "We think someone activated old war beacons." Valen exchanged a worried look with Lyra. Because there was only one reason ancient war beacons existed: to call hidden fleets home. Meanwhile, aboard a quiet human vessel near Earth, Ambassador Carter sat alone inside a dim command room. An old communication screen slowly activated. A shadowed figure appeared. Only part of the face was visible. An older human wearing dark military armor. "The beacons awakened them," the figure said. Carter nodded once. "I expected it. Then the enemy knows humanity survived." Carter's eyes became colder. "They always knew." The figure remained silent briefly before asking, "Should we prepare the fleets?" Carter looked toward Earth on the nearby screen. Blue oceans, bright cities, billions of ordinary people living peacefully without knowing the truth. Then he answered softly, "Yes, across the galaxy." Hidden human facilities slowly awakened. Ancient factories restarted. Underground shipyards opened. Massive war machines powered on for the first time in ages. Humanity had stayed asleep for thousands of years. But now the galaxy was forcing them awake, back inside the council chamber. Terrified senators demanded answers from Ambassador Carter. One senator shouted angrily, "Did humanity hide military fleets from the Galactic Council?" Carter stood calmly before them. "Yes." The chamber exploded with panic. Another senator pointed accusingly. "You deceived the galaxy." Carter's face hardened slightly. "No," he answered. "The galaxy deceived itself." The room became silent. Then historian Valen slowly stood up, his voice shaking slightly. "The ancient records are true," he whispered. "The council betrayed humanity first." Fear spread across every face. Because deep down, they all realized something terrible. Humanity did not hate the galaxy, not yet. But if humans ever wanted revenge, no one could stop them, and far beyond known space. Inside endless darkness, a massive unknown fleet slowly emerged from hyperspace. Thousands of black warships moving together silently. At the center of the fleet, one symbol burned brightly across the lead ship. The symbol of an ancient enemy humanity once failed to destroy. Darkness covered the edge of the galaxy. Thousands of unknown warships moved silently through deep space. Their black armor blocked the light of nearby stars. No communication signals came from them, no warnings, no mercy, only silence. At the front of the massive fleet stood one enormous command ship, larger than cities, covered in scars from ancient wars. And glowing across its metal surface was the symbol feared in forgotten human history. The Void Dominion, an enemy humanity once fought thousands of years ago. An enemy believed destroyed. But they survived, and now they had returned. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, panic spread quickly after the first reports arrived. Entire border systems stopped responding. Military outposts vanished. Refugee ships flooded nearby sectors. The galaxy was falling into chaos. Senators shouted over each other desperately. "Send the fleets. Protect the core worlds. Close the hyperspace gates." But deep inside, everyone understood the truth. Their modern fleets were not ready for a war this large. Not against an enemy old enough to survive ancient human battles. Commander Lyra Vesh stood near the center of the room watching the fear around her. Just days ago, these same leaders mocked humanity. Now they looked toward Ambassador Elias Carter like he was their final hope. Carter stepped slowly toward the giant tactical screen. His expression remained calm, but his eyes looked colder than before. "The Void Dominion does not negotiate," he said quietly. "They consume worlds, They destroy civilizations, and they never stop. A nervous senator looked toward him. You fought them before, Carter nodded once. Yes, then tell us how to win, for several seconds. The human ambassador remained silent. Then he gave an answer nobody expected. You survived together. The chamber became quiet. One senator frowned. That's your strategy. Carter looked directly at him. No, he answered softly. That is humanity's lesson, meanwhile. Across Earth, hidden military systems fully awakened. Massive underground shipyards opened beneath mountains. Ancient war factories activated under frozen ice. Thousands of human ships rose silently from oceans, deserts, and hidden lunar bases. Humanity's true defense fleet finally revealed itself to the stars. Not one fleet, many. Some ships looked ancient and heavily armored. Others carried weapons unknown to modern science. But every vessel carried the same symbol, Earth. Inside one of the largest human command ships, Admiral Reyes stood before a giant holographic map. Human officers moved quickly around him, preparing fleets for war. A young officer spoke nervously. Sir. Void Dominion forces crossed the outer systems. Reyes nodded slowly. How many Allied fleets answered the call? The officer hesitated. Very few. Reyes looked unsurprised. Fear always divided people. But humanity learned long ago that fear could not stop war. Only courage could. Back at the Council station, Commander Lyra watched something unbelievable happen. Alien species that hated each other for centuries slowly began working together. Medical ships organized evacuations. Trade worlds shared resources. Defense fleets combined under joint command. And strangely, humans helped everyone equally. Even species that once betrayed them. Lyra approached Carter quietly. Why help them? She asked. After everything the galaxy did to humanity, Carter looked toward the stars beyond the station window. Because revenge builds graves, he answered. But unity builds survival. Those words stayed inside Lyra's mind long after he walked away. Hours later, the first great battle began near the outer colonies. The Void Dominion fleet arrived like a living storm. Black warships covered space in endless numbers. Entire moons shook from their weapons. Modern galactic fleets tried stopping them. And failed. Ships exploded across the battlefield. Defense lines collapsed within minutes. Fear spread rapidly. Then human fleets arrived. Massive Earth warships jumped from hyperspace directly into enemy formations. No hesitation, no fear, only action. Admiral Reyes gave one simple order. Protect the civilians first. Human ships immediately moved between the enemy fleet and evacuation vessels. Taking heavy damage while civilians escaped, alien commanders watched in disbelief. Humanity was sacrificing its own ships to save worlds that once feared them. The battle became brutal. Explosions covered entire sectors. Human marines boarded enemy vessels directly. Allied species fought beside humans for the first time in history. Slowly, painfully, the Void Dominion advance stopped. For the first time in thousands of years, the ancient enemy began losing ground inside the lead Dominion warship. Dark commanders finally studied the human fleets carefully. One ancient voice echoed through the shadows. The Terrans survived. Another answered coldly. Then finish this war before they awaken fully. But humanity was already awake. Fully awake. The final battle lasted for hours. Thousands died, ships burned across the stars. But together, the galaxy held the line, and at the center of the battlefield, Earth's fleets pushed the enemy back into deep space. One final human attack destroyed the Dominion command ship completely. The massive explosion lit nearby planets like a second sun. Then silence returned, slowly, peacefully. For the first time in generations, the galaxy survived because of humanity days later. The Galactic Council gathered once more inside the Great Chamber. But this time, nobody laughed, nobody mocked Earth. The same alien leaders who once saw humans as primitive now stood respectfully as Ambassador Elias Carter entered the room. Carter stopped at the center calmly. The chamber remained silent. Then the council leaders slowly stood. "For thousands of years," he said carefully, "history feared humanity." He lowered his head slightly. "But today, the galaxy survives because humanity arrived." For a moment, no one spoke. Then every council member stood together. Not from fear, from respect. And far away on Earth, under peaceful skies, humanity quietly returned to sleep once more, waiting for the next time the galaxy needed them.